Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. Thanks for joining. This week we are going to be talking about buying and selling flutes. Now, the biggest reason that I wanted to do that this week is because now we've reached 2024 and new year, new flute, right? That's going to be the goal this year. We're going to get a new flute this year, okay? And I'm going to help you do it. So we're going to start with buying. Tips and tricks to buying a new flute. There are a couple different resources that I have for you guys. Now we're going to start with the reputable sources. There are so many different websites and stores that you can go to buy flutes, and I want you guys to just know which ones are reputable, the bigger names that you can totally trust. This video is not sponsored. I am not getting paid to talk about any of these people that I'm going to be telling you about. And I will be very honest and open with my experiences with some of these establishments. But I do want to throw out there with these reputable sources that I'm putting on my list of reputable sources, all of them do COAs on their pre-owned instruments before they sell them to you. So you are getting an instrument that is in the best possible condition whenever you do buy it. A lot of these reputable sources as well also offer warranties on their, even their pre-owned instruments for the adjustments, and you have a certain amount of time that you can send it back if you don't like something, whatever, you know, to get readjusted type of a thing. So the very first one that I want to talk about is Flute Center. And Flute Center, I have dealt with multiple times. I absolutely love them. I bought my alto flute from them originally and absolutely love it. It was a pre-owned instrument, so it did come COA'd already whenever I bought it, and absolutely loved it. The shipping was fast. I do believe I had to sign for it, just like I did for the trial instruments that I had through them as well. Absolutely love them. Shout out to Alex, who is my flute representative at Flute Center. I absolutely love working with Alex. I'm sure he's tired of me, but I do love Alex. He's been great. He's very knowledgeable, and absolutely love working with the Flute Center. They have been great, and I hope to keep working with them in the future. Second on the list is going to be Flute World. They are also a very well-known, very large company that you can go to. I have personally not worked with Flute World at all. I do want to work with them in the future, but nothing so far. I have heard really good things about them though, so I definitely have no problems recommending them to you guys. Check out their inventory and just see what they have. Number 3 is going to be Flute Specialists. I have worked with Flute Specialists before. I have done a trial with them before. They are very knowledgeable. They are very helpful, but I do find that sometimes it is hard to get a hold of some people sometimes. So that was the only kind of hang up that I had with them. It was a very limited amount of time that I was working with them, but sometimes I was having some difficulties communication-wise and with reaching with them. Third is going to be the Flute Finder. I have worked with Dana through the Flute Finder. I absolutely love them as well. It's very easy to set up a trial through them and very easy to get the instrument. I don't believe, I'm not quite sure if it requires a signature for them as well, but they were very easy to work with, very nice. I also felt like with that trial, it just kind of depends on how much communication you're wanting with the person that you were getting your trials from. I feel like Flute Center and Flute Specialists were very involved in the trial process, whereas with the Flute Finder, she wasn't. So I felt a little bit better because honestly, I just kind of wanted to try the flute. I wasn't really looking to get into a whole lot of like, oh, trying to, you know, divulge into a whole lot of information with her. So it was nice to be able to just get the trial, be like, nope, not working out for me. She sends you a prepaid shipping label back, send it back to her, and there was nothing else really that I had to deal with her. Whereas with Flute Center and Flute Specialists, they were kind of more like, what else can I send you? What did you like? What didn't you like? Kind of a thing. So it just depends on what you're looking for the trial process, on who I would really recommend more for that. If you're looking for kind of like, yeah, I just want to try this, I kind of want to be left alone, Flute Finder is a great one for you to do that. And last on my list is, not least by any means, is Carolyn Nussbaum. I have not bought anything or trialed anything through her company, but I have actually talked to them a lot. They are very easy to get on the phone. They are very friendly. They are very knowledgeable. The only thing that I do have to say about that is that their website might not be as up to date as it seems. Just because I did try to trial something that they had, and she said that it had sold the day prior. So it was kind of like, okay, well, I'm glad that I wanted to trial it and not necessarily just bought it off of their website, because apparently it's already been purchased. So it was just kind of one of those things. You should probably call them, just make sure that it's still available before you proceed with purchasing something, especially through their website, just to make sure that it's still there. But other than that, I've had really good relationship with them as well. Like I said, I haven't bought anything through them, but I am on a waiting list because there is one flute that is out of stock right now that I did want to try and most likely buy, but they don't have it. So she does have me on a waiting list, so I'm waiting to hear back to see if they get any more in or anything like that. So fingers crossed for that. I want a bass flute this year. New year, new flute. We're getting a new flute this year. It's hopefully going to be a bass flute, and fingers crossed for me for that. Next on our list are going to be the private sellers. So there are a few websites that you can go through to get something through a private seller. There's either Reverb, which I use all the time, eBay, which I would say use with caution, and also through Facebook groups are going to be your other one. So let's start with Reverb. Reverb is a music instrument website. So basically that's all you can get on there. There's not really anything else that you can get on there other than musical instruments, but you can get pretty much anything. So this is not just specified to flutes. It's going to be saxophones, clarinets, oboes, you name it, you can get it on there if it's an instrument. You can get some instruments brand new on there. Most of the instruments are probably going to be used, which is what I end up using it for. I have actually gotten quite a few instruments off of Reverb. Roy Seaman Piccolo, my KGM Limited, I got my CG Con, I actually got an, I think it's a Euler, very old 1800s flute I've gotten off of there. I've gotten quite a few instruments through there. The only thing that I have to say with private sellers is those get sold as is. Do not expect to be able to send them back if you don't like them. You cannot trial them generally, and you're not sending them back. So know what you want. Look over the pictures, like fine tooth comb in detail. Look over the pictures. There has been some piccolos that I've looked at that, like, the keys looked like they were scratched. You want to zoom in on that kind of stuff. Make sure that you're looking over the entire thing. And if there's something that is not pictured that you want to see, reach out to the seller and just say, hey, could you send me a picture of, you know, the other side of the flute? Because sometimes sellers don't show you the back of the flute with the A flat and the B flat keys are. I feel like the same thing goes for eBay. Now with eBay, I'm generally a little bit more picky with a couple of things. I do the same thing on eBay that I do on Reverb, but I have also seen a lot of scams on eBay. So you have to make sure that, you know, this seller has good ratings. How long have they been on the platform too is another good thing. You know, if they have 0, like they've never sold anything, never bought anything, have no reviews at all, I would stay away from them. I would not buy from someone like that. And the main reason being, I actually just saw this recently, but there is a flute that is being sold overseas. I think it's in the UK or something. That is being sold. It's a gold, I believe it's a Miramatsu or a Miyazawa, something like that. I think it's a Miramatsu. Gold Miramatsu that goes for at least 5 figures. Someone was selling in the US as an auction type of listing, and it only ended up getting up to about 3 grand, maybe 4 grand. And I mean, that's a steal for sure. But whenever I started looking at the pictures, I actually took the picture, put it into Google search, and it popped up with the actual eBay listing of someone overseas that was not selling it to the US. So you normally probably wouldn't find it because it wouldn't show up if you were trying to buy in the US. So whoever did end up winning that auction ended up getting scammed out of a lot of money. And even though that flute normally goes for like $20,000, which I think is what the guy was originally trying to go for overseas, still $3,000 to $4,000. It's definitely something to get upset over when it's just gone. And I don't know what that process is like with eBay and scams and all of that, but I did see that the person that was selling it had no reviews. They were new to the platform, and I was like, this just looks so bad. I don't like this at all. And I really hope that it works out for whoever ended up winning that auction, that they get their money back, because that flute is not whoever was trying to sell it in the US. It's not theirs. It's someone over in UK, and don't let that be you. Don't let that be you. Last on the list are going to be Facebook groups, and that's going to be very similar to, like I said, with the eBay. If they just started their Facebook profile this year, don't do it. Don't do it. Okay? Just don't. That's not a good sign. Or just joined whatever group they're trying to sell this instrument on. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I would say the same thing along the lines of, you could ask for more pictures. Hey, you know, because a lot of people on Facebook, again, same with Mercari and Poshmark. I mean, you can find instruments on there, but generally they're not going to be they're going to be more towards the beginner end of things. They're not really going to be the more upgraded type of instruments. Generally, I'm not really recommending you go through Mercari or Poshmark or anything like that. Let Go, things like that. I would not go through, just because those are probably going to be more beginner type of instruments anyways, and especially if you're trying to upgrade, you're going to want to go to eBay or Reverb. Reverb is going to be my number one that I want you guys to go to. But also, like I said, do your due diligence. Look at those pictures, because once it's yours, it's yours. There's no sending it back. There's no trials for the most part. There are a few companies that are on there. I actually bought my Yamaha flute from way back when, from its 21C Instruments, which I had really good results with them. The instrument was beautiful. So there are some companies like Sam Ash is actually, or Music Go Round is actually where I got my KGM Limited from. It was a Music Go Round up in, I think, Michigan or something, that I got it from through Reverb. But just most of the people that are on there are going to be private sellers and actual people, not necessarily companies. Also, a lot of the sellers that are on there also will have the option to send an offer. So if their price is a little bit too high or something like that, then you could send an offer saying, hey, like, I know you want $1,200 for it, but you know, I'll give you $1,000. And they have, I believe it's 24 or 48 hours to respond to it, either yes, no, or counter, or it just expires, and that's just kind of it. So so just kind of keep in mind, they're sold as is. You will have to come out of pocket for any COA costs or anything as well, or any repairs that will be needed. All right, so now we've talked about buying our new flute, so let's sell our old one. Generally, most of those people that I talked about under the reputable sources, they take instruments in and will sell them for you as well. Look at their contracts though for their consignments. Generally they're consignments, so you will get paid whenever it sells. I don't believe there's any that actually buy the instrument from you, but I could be wrong. Definitely reach out. Most of them are going to be consignments. Also check out what their rates for the consignment is. I know for Flute Center it's like 25%. They'll take 25% of whatever the cost that the flute sells for, plus repairs. So generally they say anything, I believe if it's $2,000 or less, then they take a $500 fee. plus repairs and everything like that for them to put it up on their website. Now, if it's anything more than $2,000, then it's 25%. I believe most of the reputable sources that I had talked about earlier do something similar, but definitely check on their website whenever you're looking up consignments and getting rid of your flute, selling your flute, what that rate is. Some of them are transparent, some of them are not, so definitely look into that. As for private sellers, so let's talk about Reverb, eBay, and Facebook groups. Now on Reverb, it's a 5% fee, 5 or 6. I'm pretty sure it's 5. So if you're selling your instrument for $1,000, they would take 5%, which should be $50, something like that, from the 1,000. But that does not include any processing fee, taxes, anything like that. Now, the person that is buying the instrument will pay the taxes, but you will have a processing fee and the reverb fee. I usually account for about 10%. I don't think it's actually 10%. It's usually around 8%. I usually try to, in my head, 10%. So if I'm selling something for $1,000, I'm accounting for 100 of that going to Reverb. Now, the other thing is going to be eBay. Now, eBay has a 13.5% selling fee, plus your processing fees, plus all of that. So I personally like Reverb better because of that, because they're also a lot more transparent with what you are going to be receiving. So like whenever you have offers coming in or offers going out, they usually are pretty good about being like, okay, you know, this is what it's gonna come out to. This is what you should expect to receive after everything. So they're very transparent about that, where eBay is not. Honestly, I, for some reason, thought that eBay was at 6%. It's not. Those are for only guitars. Okay, so for flutes, it's 13.5%. Keep that in mind, because whenever I sold my Yamaha flute, I was in for a shock. I was not expecting that much to come out, because I was thinking around 10% again, because I thought it was 6% for their selling fee, and then, you know, however, all the other extra fees and stuff for the processing. I was expecting 10. It is not. It's a lot more than that. So just keep that in mind. 13.5% is going to come out regardless. And they're not transparent about that. So whenever you are doing offers or getting offers, they're not really telling you what to expect to receive. And I feel like Reverb has that in the bag. I love that about Reverb. So I tend to stick with Reverb. I took everything off of my eBay just because after I sold that Yamaha, I was like, no. The other thing that I want to talk about is Facebook groups. Honestly, I haven't sold anything through Facebook groups. I have bought things through Facebook, Facebook Marketplace and things like that. I have no idea if they charge any type of fees for selling through them. I have not really been able to get a straight answer. I think if they do, it's 5 or 10%. Honestly, I'm not sure though. So definitely look into that. And do with that what you will as well. Last thing that I wanted to talk about will go back to more so Reverb, but eBay as well. Whenever you do the prepaid shipping label through them, they tell you, oh, you're saving money by going through Reverb or going through eBay. You're not. I've actually done this multiple times whenever I've sold things through Reverb. I can actually usually save about $1 more going through USPS versus through Reverb or through eBay. So if you do the click and ship through USPS, you actually save more money, even doing the same thing, the same box, you know, dimensions and weight, as well as the signature confirmation, because Reverb does require signature confirmation for them to insure it or whatever their thing is, whatever. I think it's like $3 to do signature confirmation. But it's still cheaper just to go through USPS than it is to go through Reverb. So look into that as well. If it's not worth the $1 or whatever for your time, then don't do it. Just go through Reverb. But I'm petty, and I'm the kind of person that is like, oh, it's going to be cheaper for you to just use our website and do it through here, and it's more convenient. and then it's not, I'm petty. I'm just gonna do it myself. And you can enter that tracking number into Reverb, so that way the person that you sold to still has that information. They can still see, and Reverb can also see when it gets delivered, when it gets picked up, all that stuff. So it's still the same. You're literally just doing it yourself versus doing it in the app. I know times are hard and every dollar counts, so look into it. If it is cheaper going through Reverb, then just go through Reverb. But the couple of times that I've sold things, it's actually been cheaper for me to just do it myself. So just keep that in mind and look into that. And that is all that I have for you guys today. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.